I was at a really like low point in my life like a month ago. Barely had enough money for like anything. I had to borrow money to pay my bills, things like that. So I had so much weight on my shoulders. It really just like peace of mind. And I feel like since I got this client, like my relationship with my wife has started to improve a little bit as well because now she's not stressed as well about finances, things like that. Now I can pay back to people that I borrowed money from. I don't have to take like a $2,500 loan out for this month. So it's such a relief. That's like the best word I can put it. It's such a relief and such a good feeling.
Life, man.
Yeah, it's a lot better now, to say the least.
I love that.
It's definitely like I feel way more relieved, way less like stressed, I guess, as well. And I just feel like I have a lot of momentum, like moving forward. I feel like I have a couple other potential clients in the works, like one for my church, who I'm waiting to hear back from them because they're starting a podcast here soon. And so,
Nice.
and obviously, like God's like one of my values, and stuff too. So it aligns perfectly with that. And then there's another guy that I'm waiting to hear back from as well, who's pretty like it's a decent chance that he'll go through. So I'm hoping
Nice.
for good things, but obviously, it doesn't matter until they pay you money. So
Sure, bro. But like, oh, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I love it. I mean, before we even get into how cool it is, why don't, if you don't mind, what I was thinking today is we spitball a bit of a testimonial, but also then we just use the like maybe do that for 10 minutes and then we use like 15-20 minutes to just go through how things are going, see if we can make any
Mhm.
tweaks anywhere and keep
Sure.
pushing. That sound
Yeah,
good?
sure.
Love it. Man, I'm very keen and the yeah, let's just get into it, but feel free to go into as much detail or whatever's useful. Like it's
Mhm,
just want to kind of get this on record that we're
mhm,
smashing things. It's so
mhm.
okay. Well, I mean, let's go for it. Otherwise, I'm gonna get all my emotion out before I've even started. I love it. Um, Andrew, mate, so good to chat. Thanks for joining. I guess like
Mhm,
for people listening, what are you up to right now? What is the business that you're running?
mhm. Yeah, so I have a podcast management business. I focus on business podcasts, personal development podcasts, and mindset podcasts. And I help them with their video editing, help them with like the posting on social media, getting everything uploaded. Those are like that's my main
Mhm.
offer, I guess you could call it. And yeah, it's a blast. I love it.
I love it, man, and you're so good at it, which is great as well, man. I guess to start things off, when we first spoke? Where were things? But just before we started working together, where were things with yourself in business, and I guess and also in life as well?
Yeah, I mean, so before I'd met you, I had a client that I was working with, and he had ended up dropping me because he had said something kind of controversial. And at the time, he was like my only client, and so pretty much I went from making like 2,500 a month to like zero. And then I had like a month where I was like, oh crap, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like I'm doing everything I can, trying to like scramble, figure things out. Funny enough, I'd reached out to Saul here about doing his podcast before all this had happened. But then it ended up turning into a whole new relationship, which was really cool and an awesome friendship. But yeah, I was kind of like in a bad place, I would say emotionally, financially, just kind of like in all areas of my life once I lost that client. And luckily, Saul was here to help me, and he had given me a lot of amazing feedback and advice, and just gave me a lot of encouragements about just my situation, and he said that he had been in the same situation too before, and I've been watching his journey from going from zero to making like 20K plus in a month, which is absolutely incredible. And so I knew he's definitely someone that I could trust because I saw him do it firsthand through his stories and things like that, and so I was like, okay, if I'm seeing him do it live, I talked to him when he first was at zero, and now he's at like 20K a month. I'm like, okay, what's this guy doing? So I knew that you're obviously very credible when I saw your journey on your stories and things like that. And anyway, yeah, so I was not in like the best place, and you had kind of been there to really like dial in what my focuses were on, like, hey, make sure that we're like crushing. Like, we need to get some testimonials. So, like, let's crush these couple podcasts. You might need to do some free work, or even just get like another job temporarily, just to kind of like ease things off, like stress wise, and kind of get like my schedule back in. Because kind of like all of the areas of my life were falling apart. But yeah, finally, when things seemed like I was barely gonna be able to make it, like I literally barely had enough money for groceries and all that stuff. Like it was just crazy. had to borrow money to pay my bills. And then all of a sudden I get a client for 3,000 a month. But he paid me 4,500 up front because he wanted me to do some extra work. And wow, that was like
Bro,
crazy relief. It
bro,
was an amazing feeling.
I love it. I genuinely, I remember opening that text message from you, and I was so happy, like so happy. And it's testament to your hard work. And I think I remember so specifically that one call we'd had. Like, I think you'd had a bad weekend, like
Mm,
personally and stuff, and like life was feeling tough, and we jumped on a call, and I said, look, like, bro, I'm recording this because I
yeah.
know we're gonna look back at that call, and this is gonna be like when we're doing well and we're killing it, we're gonna look back at that call, and this is gonna be the best thing ever, right? We're gonna look back and laugh, and it's, I guess, how do you think when we were at that point, which was like, it was hard for me to hear some of the things you were telling like me about what you're going through and stuff like that, and how, if you wouldn't mind sharing, like, how was that helpful? What do you think were some of the things that really moved the dial and getting you out of that place?
Mhm. Well, I mean, definitely knowing that like you're very good about relating to me, and I knew that you were in a similar situation, or not. Maybe not. I don't know if it was exactly the same, but you're kind of in the same position financially for sure at one point that I was in, and I was aware of that. So it was very helpful to know that you were like you'd been there before and like you got yourself out of it. So that established a lot of trust, like with me trusting you. Um, Also, I mean, kind of like what I said before about just really like narrowing my and like dialing in my focuses. Of like, hey, like don't worry. Some like for example, I was trying to post like every single day, pretty much of the week, like at least 5 times a week. And I wasn't at a point in my business where like I needed that much content out. Like I needed more so just to focus on just getting some kind of like testimonials like we were talking about, and just getting some just work to prove like what I'm able to do so that way I can start sharing it with people. And then later down the road is where I'll start dialing in more on my content and things like that to bring people in. So you're really good about helping me with knowing like what to focus my energy on because my day was so kind of like scatterbrained, I would say. Like I was doing, I mean, I was doing things, but like it was kind of like a little bit here, then there's like something else that come up, and it was very
Mm,
kind of all over the place. Like I still got the things done I needed to, but it wasn't an efficient way by any means. Um, and so yeah, you really helped me like get everything more dialed in and have more structure and just kind of like narrow in what my focuses were or needed to
I
be.
love that. Thanks for it. And I think it was so interesting, wasn't it? Because you hear a lot of people who are like, you're working incredibly hard, but it was actually like, where do we position that work and where do we put that time? So it was cool to narrow that down. I guess the other thing I feel like we talked about quite a lot, which was testament to you bringing it up as a question, but what how much did we work on your offer and your delivery and what you were actually going to do and who you're going to target, that sort of thing?
Mhm. Yeah, quite a bit. Well, originally I was like, okay, I want to do like, I mean, I was pretty much willing to work with almost anybody, I would say. I could just because I was in a very like scarcity kind of mindset. Um, and you said like, hey, bro, like I know it's gonna be really hard right now, but like, don't just take any client. Like, it's gonna bite you in the butt like later in life or like later like in your business. Um, like you need to like really focus on like who is your ideal like target audience basically, or your target client, and like only focus on them and don't work with anybody else. And so, yeah, we originally was like, yeah, I want to work with like all types of influencers and like anyone that speaks to a camera. Basically, it's like, no, dude, like you can't. I mean, you can't work with like They could be talking about something that you have literally no idea about, and that's not at all like it doesn't even have anything to do with what you know. Like you need to really dial in. And so for me, I just kind of thought back like, what are my values and the things that I'm passionate about, which is like business, personal development, mindset, and God, and those are like the main things, basically like my pillars of like the clients that I'll serve are people that have podcasts that talk about those topics.
100%. Love it, man. And that was cool. And I guess like when we're interacting, what's been helpful? Like, how do we in the ways that we interact, all of the above?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably for sure. Like, I mean, I'm always like bouncing like questions off of you and things like that, and you're very good about like getting back to me about things, and you always give me great advice, and you're very honest as well. Like, um, I know, it's not one of your famous lines I would say is like, "Bro, I'm gonna be honest with you, but, like, I'm doing it out of love, like, I'm a coach, so I'm here to help you get better." So, I know everything that you're saying to me is out of love and out of, like, my best interest, so I think that's been, like, a really important thing too is knowing, like, you don't want a coach that's just gonna tell you what you want to like, what you wanna hear, you want a coach that's gonna tell you what you actually need to hear and what's really gonna move the needle for you, and, like, if you're not doing what you should be, like, you need someone coach that's gonna, like, hold you accountable, and, like, they don't have to be necessarily, quote, unquote, "nice," not that you're not nice to me or anything, but they need to be honest with you and tell you the truth, like, "Hey, bro, if you're not actually, I don't think you're working as much as you say you are," or, like, whatever the case is, like, you need a coach that can call you out and make you aware of the things that you didn't even know.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like it's funny because I always I always preference that. It's funny you say that's my line because I am honest. I am super upfront with people, but I think it's testament here that we've got this result and we can keep pushing because we just like from your perspective, what was great is you always just took on advice and they're the best people to work with is like you just you accepted that I was being honest and that what I was saying came from a good place and you actioned it. And that's what's been such a pleasure to work with you and to push this
Mhm.
forward, man. So I guess like just kind of last question my side is if someone is listening to this and is maybe a bit on the fence about whether they should rock and roll with myself, what would you tell them?
Bro, you're missing out. But, like, do it. I I would say you never lose when you invest in yourself. Like, even like, let's say I've worked with mentors in the past before where I didn't get necessarily results or like I failed, quote unquote, like in my business or whatever. I was doing other stuff back then as well. But even though I may have, quote unquote, failed, I learned so much in the process. So like, no matter what, you're still going to learn, you're still going to grow. And I know that Saul isn't going to be someone that's going to let you down either. So you don't really have
Appreciate
anything
that,
to
bro.
worry about.
I love that, man. And just give me like, tell me how does it feel to have that client? Like 4,500 is crazy, and then knowing that you've got a retainer coming in of that. How does it feel yourself?
Yeah, it's such a huge relief because, like I was saying before, like I was at a really like low point in my life like a month ago, and like this past like literally the past month, I literally barely had enough money for like anything. I had to borrow money to pay my bills, things like that. So I had so much weight on my shoulders, and then yeah, now just having so much relief and it really just like peace of mind, and I feel like not that like money makes you happy or whatever, but it does actually like have a there is like some factor of it because I really feel like since I got this client, like my relationship with my wife has started to improve a little bit as well because now she's not stressed as well about finances, things like that. Now I can pay back the people that I borrowed money from. I don't have to take like a $2,500 loan out for this month. So there's just like a lot of things where it's like, wow, like thank goodness, like it's just crazy. It's such a relief. That's like the best word I can put it. Is it's such a relief and such a good feeling.
Amazing, man. I'm genuinely so happy. Well, thanks for your time, brother, and looking forward to keeping pushing.
Yeah, sounds good.
Lovely.